fucking line you doing? When you went to Target that night or whatever, you was with Jakeem and RD. You know who I'm talking about. The same Jakeem who was on live with Jase other day. What are you talking about? We was all outside. What are you talking about?
I'm saying, like, if he was, what is that proving?
Just said we was all outside. She said she was with you outside.
I'm saying,
we was literally outside.
I'm saying, but what is that supposed to be proving about Red? Like, what is that?
Okay, so when we was all together or whatever, we was with Quan, little girlfriend or whatever. We was all going to the movies. He's over here lying. You know damn well you was gonna set that boy up. What are you talking about? You been saying that shit. You posted that shit in your close friends. You posted that shit on Twitter, and then you deleted this shit.
Who the fuck is you?
400 King. 400 King. You know who I am. This is Taquasia.
She know too many governments.
Tonight, the family of Derek Samuel is grieving after the 20-year-old's body was found today. His family confirms he was found in the woods in East Point off of Red Wine Road.
One of his friends posted a tribute video before they even found the body. Not after, before. Derek Samuel had been missing for over a month. His mother was still waking up every morning and driving to neighborhoods she had already searched 3 times. His twin sister was still checking her phone every few minutes, still hoping for a text, still waiting for the message that would tell her other half was okay. The family had a $15,000 reward posted. Search crews were combing through woods and quarries and apartment complexes. And one of the last people to see Derek alive was on social media, posting a goodbye video like the case was already closed. How did he know? That is the question nobody has been able to answer. And the more you look at the behavior of the people surrounding Derek Samuel in his final hours, the more that question echoes. Because this is not a story about a young man who simply wandered off. This is a story about a group of people who knew something, who went live on the internet again and again, who kept talking without ever actually saying anything, and whose words, when you slow them down and really listen, reveal more than they were probably meant to.
I'm not apologizing for a damn thing. Whether or not he did it or got something to do with it, you was never a genuine homeboy to him. Number one, Maul. I'm calling names out because at this point I don't get no damn. You just started coming around them in December. And ever since you've been around, stuff been happening from left to right. I never one time heard for a serious argument that them boys been having from back to back to back to back ever since you came. Yes, they got into their little differences or whatever, but they always has that shit. But ever since you came, gang, they been arguing from back to back to back to back. You said you was gonna beat Rec ass. You said you was gonna confront Rec. You tried to steal money from these boys. You're 21 years old. You lied about being 19. So let's get that straight right here. You keep saying, oh, you didn't know about the 400 gang, whatever. You was the first person and the only person to know about that. So let's not get on here and lie. You knew them boys wanted Rec head and you did not go tell Rec. Mind you, you ain't say nothing about them boys wanting Rec head until 3 days after he went missing. But you swear you his partner. Stop the cap. You got mad at Rec. You said you was gonna beat him up, you was gonna confront him, you was gonna do all this stuff. You care about Rec when you going out of your day to argue with his twin sister and tell her, F her, and some more stuff. This was May the 1st, a few days after Rec went missing, gang. Like I said, you ain't say nothing.
20 years old, East Point, Georgia. A boy who wanted to start a clothing line, who made everybody laugh, who talked his twin sister every single day of his life, until one day he just didn't. And the people who were with him last have never fully explained why. If this case matters to you, if you believe young black men deserve the same urgent outrage, the same wall-to-wall coverage, the same relentless pursuit of truth that other victims get, then right now, before we go any further, please like this video and subscribe to Mystora Crimes. Click that bell, because the only way these stories reach the people who need to hear them is if you help carry them. Derek Samuel's family is still waiting for justice. The least we can do is make sure the whole world knows his name. Subscribe. Let's go. To understand what happened on April 29th, 2026, you have to understand who Derek Samuel was. Because victims are not just names attached to police reports. They are people. And the kind of person Derek was tells you something critical about what his disappearance actually means. His mother, Nishi, described her son as someone who was almost always smiling, almost always joking. She said she had genuinely never seen him deeply sad or broken in a way that some people carry darkness around with them. He was light. He was warm. He dreamed out loud about building something for himself, a clothing brand, something with his name on it. something that would last. He loved gaming. He loved his people. And more than almost anything, he loved his twin sister. They were not the kind of twins who drifted apart as they got older. They talked every day, every single day. That was not occasional. That was not coincidence. That was a bond. So when April 30th came and his sister had not heard from him, not a text, not a call, not even a reaction to something she sent, she did not brush it off. She could not, because she knew the way twins sometimes know things before the rest of the world catches up. Something was wrong. Now here's what we know about April 29th. Derek was driven to the Camp Creek Marketplace Target in East Point by two of his friends, Cord Manson and a man publicly referred to as Des. This was not some late-night adventure. This was a regular shopping plaza in broad daylight. His grandmother lived 10 minutes away. Everything about it looked routine. At some point inside the store, the group separated. Cord and Des left. They later said they were heading to a girl's house. Derek stayed behind. And according to what they told people publicly, they assumed he was going to walk to his grandmother's. 10 minutes. A walk he could have done blindfolded. He never showed up. And here's the first thing that should make every single one of you pause. Derek left his belongings in his friend's car. His PS5, his iPad, his poster. These are not the items you forget when you are casually stepping out to walk 10 minutes to your grandmother's house. These are the things you take with you when you're going somewhere you plan to stay, which means either Derek planned to come back to that car, or someone stopped him from getting back to it. Now, let's talk about the friends, because this is where this case ignites. In the days after Derek vanished, Cord Manson started going live on social media. Multiple streams, multiple conversations. And what struck thousands of people watching was not what he said, it was how he said it. There's a specific kind of energy that comes off someone who is performing grief versus someone who is actually inside it. Grief is messy. It is disorganized. It repeats itself because the mind cannot process the loss fast enough to stay linear. What came off these streams was something different. It was controlled. It was careful. And the moments it slipped, those are the moments that matter. In one stream,
I found out Rick had got in the shootout a month prior to that at Camp Creek. Nobody ever mentioned that, by the way. I just found out. There's so many things I found out. Oh my gosh. I found out Rick was in another.
Wait.
Oh
Rewind.
yeah. Yo, hold on.
Rewind.
You want me
So
to
wait, so Rec had got into a Pum out in the same
Camp
area
Creek.
that he was dropped off at.
Yep. Hold on.
Who knew about the shootout?
They just told me as soon as Rick goes missing.
another person in the car said directly that he believed Derek had been planning to meet someone else that day. Someone he did not tell them about. He lied about linking up with someone and linked up with someone else. Was the framing. And before that sentence was even complete, Cord and the others rushed to shut it down. We didn't say that. We know nothing about that. Fussed. Practice. Unified. Here is what behavioral psychology tells us about that kind of response. When innocent people are asked about something they genuinely have no knowledge of, their denial tend to be simple and confused because they are trying to understand the question. When people who do have knowledge deny something, the denial comes fast and it comes coordinated. The goal is not to answer. The goal is to close the door. Meanwhile, investigators had traced Derek's phone to a wooded area directly behind the Camp Creek shopping center. Not his grandmother's neighborhood. Not the street he was filmed walking toward. The woods. Behind the same plaza where he was last seen alive. His phone was there. Somewhere in those trees. And yet initial searches of that area turned up nothing. Then weeks later, someone reported that Derek's phone had briefly gone active again. His location appeared. A contact messaged him. And then the signal vanished. Like someone holding the phone had suddenly realized they had made a mistake. Who had that phone? Where were they when it briefly came back to life? And why did they turn it off again? Here is a detail that broke the internet and, frankly, broke my heart a little too. A homeless man in the area was reportedly interviewed by people doing their own informal investigation online. According to what circulated, this man claimed he had seen something near the woods. Some accounts suggested he had been covering for someone. whether out of fear, loyalty, or something else entirely. Nobody could confirm. But the fact that a civilian-led online investigation was getting further than the official search in some respects tells you everything about how desperate this community was for answers. The reward kept climbing. Actors donated. Strangers donated. People who had never met Derek Samuel, who lived in completely different states, sent money because something about this case refused to let them go. There is a specific kind of injustice that people can feel even through a screen. And this case had it. On May 31st, 2026, 9 Jaeger picked up a scent in the wooded area behind the reserve at Red Wine Apartments, just off Red Wine Road. His handler, Jim Lopez, followed him in, and what they found ended the search in the worst possible way. Human remains, in the woods, 5 minutes from the target, in the exact area where Derek's phone had been traced on day one. The family confirmed it before the official identification was released. They did not need a medical examiner to tell them. They already knew. Derek's Aunt Carmelita Howard told reporters she had felt it all day. Something in her spirit, she said, had already been grieving before the phone call came. The family released a single statement. They said this was not the outcome they prayed for. They asked for privacy, and then they went quiet. The kind of quiet that only comes after a loss so big that words stop working. As of today, no cause of death has been officially confirmed. No suspects have been named. No arrests have been made. The East Point Police Department has said only that the investigation is ongoing and that it remains unclear whether Derek left that area voluntarily or whether someone else was involved. That language, unclear whether someone else was involved, is doing a lot of heavy lifting because the evidence does not paint a picture of a young man who chose to disappear into the Georgia woods alone. The evidence paints a picture of a young man whose phone ended up in those woods before he did, whose friends went live on the internet rather than going to the police station, whose social circle knew, or at least suspected, that he was meeting someone that day that he had not told them about, and one of whom posted a tribute before the body was even found. So I want to ask you something, and I want you to really sit with these questions before you answer in the comments, because I think they matter. If you knew someone was dead before the authorities confirmed it, how would you know? What would it take for you to post a memorial video for a person who is still officially missing? Is that grief so overwhelming it overflows into the wrong moment? Or is it something else? Something that looks like grief from the outside, but comes from a completely different place? And what about Derek himself? What was he walking toward when he left that target? Who was waiting for him? Because someone was. And that someone has never come forward. 20 years old, dreaming of a clothing line, talking to his twin sister every single day, until someone made sure he couldn't anymore. Drop your theory in the comments right now. Who do you think knows what happened to Derek Samuel? Do you think the people closest to him have told the full truth? And do you believe justice is coming for this family? Subscribe to Mystora Crimes. Turn on your notifications. Because we are not done with this case. We will follow every update, every arrest, every courtroom moment, until Derek Samuel gets the justice he deserves. This channel exists for stories like his, and we are not going anywhere.